Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Evolving Skies, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your order using that code Omnipoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at Dragapult Inteleon. Henry Brand brought this to light with a really solid first place finish in one of the first post-rotation events that we had available on Limitless. And yeah, I think the concept is pretty simple. Really, it's combining the power of Marnie plus Path to the Peak in the post-rotation metagame, whilst we also have the Max Phantom damage counter placements denying things like Sobble from the opponent. So actually Dragapult and Jolteon have both come out strong in this new format, and it's because you can deny opponents their Inteleon engines while keeping yours available to cherry pick all the good stuff for yourself. So we're going to try and ruin some draw engines from the opponent early with the help of the Max Phantom, sprinkling 5 counters, and of course we play Zigzagoon in here. We also play Scoop Up Net, and in the sort of mid to late game we can be using quick shooting. So the idea is your opponent shouldn't be putting down Sobbles against you, and we're hitting them with Marnies. So just naturally the lower supporter draw outs that they have means that they don't get into the game that often, and they whiff, basically, which is what we're looking for here. Of course, we do like our typing as well. Urshifu is a lot less popular than it would have been when Henry first piloted this archetype, and the metagame has started already to warp away a little bit from Urshifu. I would expect it to be like below 10% of most metagame shares in tournaments right now, but it's still a reasonable type coverage to have. That resistance as well helps out in that matchup. We do know Urshifu is being splashed into other things still, like Sylveon and whatnot, so it is still relevant to an extent. Dark Weakness is awkward to some extent. We do know that Umbreon Single Strike is doing pretty well, and Moltres is being teched into a couple of archetypes, again looking at Sylveon for the most recent results right now. So something to keep in mind, but in general I don't mind the placement of Dragapult right now. It feels like a fairly safe deck in the meta, just because we have the hand disruption elements on our side here to slow all sorts of different archetypes down, and when we're doing that we can sprinkle a ton of damage and really take control of board states, because they don't have their draw engine in a lot of matchups. So yeah, that's obviously very good for you. So that's really the core element here. The Max Phantom doing 130 is low, of course, but we do have the quick shooting pings. We have Horror Psychic Energy to, in air quotes, buff this damage output, which is nice. And even if we do like 2 shots VMAX and it isn't knocked out at that stage, we can try and use things like Boss's Orders or Escape Rope to push them to the back to then finish them off with our damage counter placement. But really the core here is just we get to draw cards, they don't. That's kind of what we're going for here. A few tech includes that are different to what Henry played. I'm down to 3 Path, because mirror matches are a thing. Jolteon Inteleon is a quad path deck, and there's actually a lot of quad path decks right now. So I feel like 3 should be fine. You still want to play a fairly high count, because you need to have answers to Zamazenta, Glaceon, those sorts of Pokemon, and you still want to be slowing down Shadow Rider. Shadow Rider is still relatively popular, so it's very good at shutting those down. And many of the Suicune archetypes are choosing to play no counter stadium whatsoever. So having the path just instantly dropping it down as soon as you see it stops them getting fleet-footed throughout the entire game. At the same time, I know I've just said you've got to get through the Zamazentas, but even when you're fighting against Zacians, you need to have bounces to Crystal Cave. So I think 3 is your minimum count, and I'm doing that right now just to steal a space because of the amount of decks that are also playing heavy path. But that's just my personal opinion. You can go up to 4 if you really want to. The space that I stole was for a fan of Waves. I think this is a really nice card to include in your Inteleon engines right now, because it can disrupt Horror Psychics, which we're playing. Jolteon is playing Speed Lightnings. There's a ton of Capture Energies being played right now as well in Suicune variants, Jolteon variants, a few other things here and there. And obviously it can keep things like Single Strike at bay that little bit earlier as well. So this is trying to be a tech card for Umbreon, which is the thing that I'm most conscious of, because they play around 10 energy, 8 of them being special energy. If you can use a Fan of Waves proactively, whilst also using your Max Phantom plus Zigzagoon pings on their Houndours, you can stop them from attacking you for a couple of turns, and even though you have a typing disadvantage, you can still keep them away from attacking you for enough turns to still be in that game. So I think it's a really valid include in here. It's pretty valid in a lot of the Inteleon engines, to be honest, but I think we're just about spacious enough with Dragapult to make that include, which I'm pretty happy to see. Outside of that, not too much else to say. Raihan is in here just to help us against hammer decks, or if we are coming up against other Fan of Waves players, or anything that can just one-hit KO a Draga. You have the Shady Dealings for the Raihan option, just to get your next Dragapult up and running with the 2 attachments, which is great. Tool Jammer, a nice one of as well, trying to shut down the toughness capes that Zacian players and Suicune players are heavily playing right now, and it just reduces that and nullifies it, which is great, and also has the upside of shutting off air balloons from a ton of archetypes as well. Again, the single strike deck normally plays like 2 to 3 air balloon and like 1 switch. Sometimes they're hiding darkness, but not too often. So the Tool Jammer in here is really nice to also hurt the outs in that regard. If you are trying to make panic sort of trapping plays, you can try and do it with the Tool Jammer, start sprinkling around the board. So yeah, that's really cool. Shadow Rider also plays a ton of air balloon compared to switch, so that can be a way that you can steal turns with the Jammer. So don't sleep on that as a sort of panic button option play. Especially when you're denying Drizziles from people, they whiff their switch outs way more. So let's jump into the ladder, get some games in with Dragapult Inteleon. And it's really interesting how initially we were expecting the meta to devolve around Urshifu being the Pokemon that, you know, disrupted benches, but it's turning out to be Jolteon Dragapult instead. And actually, to some extent, at least keeping Urshifu at bay for now. I'm not sure how much longer that will continue. I think Urshifu is a strong enough card to come back in different renditions. But for now, Dragapult and Jolteon are doing just fine. A few of the other changes I made, I actually went up to 8 energy in the deck. Even though you play your 4 Fog Crystals, I really like having more access every turn, because then it means you can fog for Pokemon. And the Fog Crystal is trying to be that out to energy and basic at the same time. And because we only play 3 Quick Ball, I like the Fog being the option to get us basics, obviously, as well. As we're going to go for Sobble here with our Quick Ball. I'm going to swing the Psychic on first to play around random Fan of Waves from them. And we'll just pass here. We've set up Psychic Energy early for Raihan, even though we're Marning it to the bottom. We're going to be trying to do our Drizzile engine. They're going to insta-search out their own Sobble, and they're going to research. Looks like they're playing a Suicune build. Could be Suicune Ludicolo. Looks like it's an Ice Rider, possibly still with Suicune. So this is an archetype that can deal decent damage into us, but they're missing their early Melanie, so we're not facing any damage straight away. They've started a Crobat, which really helps us out in our goal here, and if we can work towards Evo Soda and Level Ball here, we can take an easy knockout on a Sobble early on. So we do hit Level Ball. That's going to get us Drizzile, and we do have the Zigzagoon. So we actually get everything we want to here, which is great. It means we're only taking a 1 prize, and we don't have much push potential beyond this turn. So we're just hoping that the tempo that we gain from this turn is going to be enough. We know that our Dragapult can just sit and take a hit from the opponent next turn, as we're going to search out our Incense here. So we're hoping that we can just either top deck out of this, or our prize can help us out that little bit while we're going to be threatening some stuff here. I don't mind putting down the Path to the Peak, but I don't think it's super important. I would imagine that they're playing 1 Crobat and they just happen to start with it, which is just unfortunate for them. Rather than expecting them to do too much. Although if they are a Suicune-based build, I could be denying draw from them. Seeing as though they're like playing the Ice Rider fairly thick, I don't think the Fan of Waves is going to be that important anyway. So if I have to like discard a card with like Quick Ball or something with the Fan, or sorry, the Fan can pay that cost. So let's sprinkle all 5 onto this Sobble, take the additional card because we need the draw right now. And we're denying 1. That's 1 less Drizzile for them, you know. And we pick up a Psych Energy, not the most helpful. Gonna need the help from our top deck. But of course we have another turn just to max Phantom. So we can play catch up if need be. We have a lot of outs as well that can get us into a good spot here. So they are playing a Suicune style here. So putting down the Path isn't necessarily a bad deal. They're actually not going to be attacking again this turn, which puts us pretty far ahead. Unless, yeah, they're just passing into us. And we actually draw probably one of our best cards. It's not a supporter, which would have been like the best option, or like an incense for a Intel. But I'm pretty happy just to take the 2 prizes. I think I want to do this just to draw the cards. It doesn't necessarily give us the easiest prize map. But I want to take the cards quite badly. Let's think. I have 2 top decks to get me out of this hand. Or I give myself like essentially 4 top decks if I take the 2 prizes. Yeah, I think this is fine. It could be that I'm like in air quotes wasting the 130 into the Suicune, because I may still have to go through a big Ice Rider, but I think it's okay. Also, we've got Horror Energy attached, so we can, with an Intel ping, finish off with a Max Phantom if we push this back to the bench. The research off the prize is really nice. They're going to research themselves. They get rid of a Scrapper. They get into their VMAX at last. They do get their first Drizzile off. They're going to grab a balloon. They're going to just come in and swing, I guess. So quick shooting is definitely a nice card to pick up. I definitely want to grab Sobble here. We will evolve up. And we'll just take the chance to research. I'm not too concerned about the Suicune damage. I think I just want the extra Sobble in play. So we're holding on to Boss. I have Rope Boss as an option. I'll obviously Horror here. So I should just be setting up Boss game, right? So I should probably just take the 1 prize on the Sobble, probably. It denies the most amount of outs for him to draw things. And it puts us just a simple Boss away from Suicune. And even if they Marnie us, we have still lots of Levelball, lots of Incense. We play 4 copies of Incense. Actually do get this shady deal, so we're going to get the double dip deal. If they want to launch an attack here, they either have to Melanie or they have to find a switch out. Looks like they grabbed a Melanie and another card. Melanie and Levelball. They are going to attach a Melanie active and also do the Sobble. They're going to VMAX, but I think we just have too much damage around the board. I have win in so many different ways here. They're going to ride at the High King. So our base is 60 and I have the Intel ping already, so don't need to do the fancy switch in and out shenanigans for Jet Assault. We can just go ahead. Ping. Boss. We had a lot of routes there though. We could even deal with the active if we had to. Could have just like Fog Crystal, pay retreat, done the 140, ping the active. Lots of ways to win. We will grab some new things. There's actually good things on the ladder, right? I think it's like Eldegoss and bosses at the end. It's a good time to be on the ladder. Obviously just reset. But yeah, a decent start against the Ice Rider. I think that they really misplayed their Suicune, I think. Putting it active. I imagine they were trying to fleet-footed, but the path was in play. Got to imagine that was what they were trying to do with it, because you otherwise just leave the bat active and make me push it out the way. Our start is once again pretty good. You love to see Fog Crystal. It's just such a versatile card in this deck. It's the E-Search that you would have to be playing in an Intel anyway, but it also gets you outs to Draga. So that's just crazy good. One thing we're kind of missing with this hand is Level Ball or Sobs, but pretty okay right now. I can turn one path my opponent, which is kind of good. We'll definitely Fog. We'll jam the path and we'll pass. Hold the Fog Crystal to be a Psychic Energy just to not mess around with a Max Phantom. Marning yourself is always like small risk, right? Because you can always crumb yourself. They actually had the instant Stadium Bounce Crobat combo in hand. They're going to rope into their Crobat to try and protect the Urshi. We can Fog now. Take the energy. Path seems good, just to get rid of his Stadium. Do I want to give him the option of having a Rapid Flow onto a Draga? Or do I just want to sit like this and say, deal with it? He played no supporter. The only thing I'd like to do is get towards my own boss. The best way towards boss is putting down Sobbles, which I probably won't be doing next turn. We do 260 into him, plus the 5 is 210. I guess I probably should be trying to force this active. The Marnie's kind of questionable there because they didn't do like a huge amount, but I think we have to just put one Sobble down at a time. Obviously, I want to keep it open for Level Ball anyway, right? But the 130, we saw how good it was on the Crobat last game already. This is ready to be sprinkled at any point for 2 prizes. They've refrained from putting down any Sobbles of their own until now. They are going to VMAX as well. Sob comes down. Let's see if there's anything else coming in. A rope. I'm just thinking if I ever just feed the Sobble here. Feeding Sobble lets me just swing into him. And I'm fairly happy Marnieing him, especially if this is a research or Marnie of his own. Because I really don't want to Level Ball into a Drizzile just to buy a switch out, right? That just sounds bad. We'll give him the 1 prize. Like, we really don't need much to be, like, super ahead of him. And yeah, he's just going to Gale Thrust. So I think I'm Level Balling for Zig. Zig KO Sobble, hit active. Seems like my best play. And then we just win next turn. And we deny his engine pretty significantly. So he can Rapid Flow, but we have game. Yep. The Shifu still a really good matchup. Yeah, it's hard to be playing Urshi right now with so much... Well, it's the combination of Dragapult and Shadow Rider. I would imagine Shadow Rider to be around that sort of 8 to 10% range of a metagame share, and kind of a similar thing for Dragapult Intel right now. I think the metagame is sort of splitting off between Draga and Jolteon, not really knowing which one's best just yet. But I think that just means Urshifu has to adapt, and for me, it's going towards a Moltres build. We keep going first. We win a lot of these coin flips. That really makes Dragapult look very good. It feels like a much slower deck when you're going second, obviously, but when we're just able to Phantom and hit Sobbles like straight away, it always looks like a really strong deck. And we're actually in the mirror. We'll toss this. We'll grab our Sob. I want to keep the Level Ball open for Zigzagoon. So we'll just pass. Because I want to be the one with Drizzile and not him. I want to be the one with the Intels at the end of the day. And you could argue that if I just Level Ball for Sobble now, try and Drizzile chain, that gives me a better chance, but that really shoehorns me down a route where I don't necessarily have the oh man, the hammering is really gonna help them. They've essentially gone first now, basically. So very good for the mirror, the crushing hammers, which we're not playing right now. But they still chose not to put down any Sob squad. So I can still use Shred this turn. And I think that's going to be something I will opt for. So we're going to use a Fog Crystal here, grab an energy. With no Sobbles down for them, this Marnie may actually be a good preventative measure from him actually getting an attack off himself. We also have Fan of Waves. I could have done that this turn. Do I want to get rid of this Incense? I really don't. This hand is awkward. I want a Quick Ball for another Sobble. I think I have to sacrifice the Incense just to get the second Sobble down, because if he does just VMAX attach, knock out this Sobble alongside Zigzagoon, it's a lot to ask for, but he could easily just have Supporter in this hand and then he pops off. It just means that I go Quick Ball, Sobble, Insta Intel, Insta Attach, Insta Marnie, but I think it's fine. I think it's the right thing to do, because I want to get a second Intel up, especially because he has no Sobs. So yeah, let's just Shred for the 60. We're taking 2 straight back. But every counter matters when you're playing Dragapult. You can do so much with the damage that you play around with. And 130, 130 is 260, and now we can knock out this Dragapult in 2 hits with Max Phantom. So I don't need to place any counters anywhere else. And yeah, look, the Marnie just sticks them, right? When they don't have access to their Intels, they still just lose. So, yeah, sometimes Marnie just is on your side. And that's basically the format right now. So many people are playing like 6 or 7 draw supporters, knowing that they can Drizzile for them turn 2 and just pop off. But if you're denying that the entire game, it's just gonna mean that Marnie crumbs them, basically. So yeah, that's good. This time we are going second and we have a Draga and not much else going on. I'm pretty much forced to Marnie unless we get some mulligan cards here for energy. It's one of those hands that you'd like to hold on to as long as you hit energy. Looks like we're up against a either a Shadow Rider or a straight Alcremie Articuno. Ooh, that's probably the best draw possible. So yeah, looking like a Shadow Rider. Priorities are obviously trying to Path in this matchup. We play 3. Fourth would be nice in exactly the Calyrex matchup, of course. Our tech of the fan is somewhat greedy in this instance. But we'll see how this goes. Shadow Rider isn't like the most disruptive in this case. I think like the biggest issue that we face is that they do have that one hit KO potential against us. So trying to develop the paths as quickly as possible should stunt their progression a little bit. They go straight for the creamy. Swing energy on and just pass it over. Pretty good turn one from them, honestly. Obviously, they weren't able to play a supporter. They chose to grab an out creamy rather than energy, and they still chose to attach an energy, which tells me they have plays in hand, right? Because if they just had like no playable cards, they would probably hold the attachment to then pop off with the VMAX to try and draw them more. So I think I'm forced to Marnie here, looking for... Obviously, Path would be our best outcome, but more Sobbles would be nice. Tool Jammer would also be a really nice card to pick up here. None of those, but we do find a couple Fog Crystal, which can thin the deck a little, which I'm not against here. Pre-research. Well, for next turn, obviously. So it looks like we're just ending on a bite. Didn't hit any of our like big power spike cards, unfortunately. And we're basically locked into a research next turn. But hopefully it gives us a big dig into the deck to find a path next turn. Actually get rid of an Articuno. They're going to grab Crobat. And they may be debating a Stadium here. It gets them an extra card if they put it into play, but they're probably worried about their outs to Path here. I imagine that's the reason for the delay right now. Actually, it's just an energy that they're debating. Here comes the first Shadow Rider. Here comes the second. Yikes. Really nice start from the opponent. It's going to be their first energy for the Underworld door. If they get double energy plus switch out, they can Alcremie KO for the 2 prizes if they want to. They're actually committing energy to the Shadow Rider, so maybe they're going down a different line. They're going to Marnie us. Our hand was pretty good, but we didn't have any of our actual answer cards in hand, so we'll see how this treats us. Now we have Jammer plus Research, which is kind of fine, kind of good actually. Fogging out all the basic psychics is sad when I want to be using horrors to increase our output in this case. Do they have switch out here? They can be hitting us for 130. If they can't, this Tool Jammer is going to be really good for us. If they do find pivot out, I'd probably Jammer the bench. Oh wow, that's super good for us. Alright. So we know they don't have switch out in hand. And I need to draw a lot, so I think I'm actually going to prioritize Research here over the Marnie. I know that like the namesake of the deck is Marnie and stuff. But I think when you know they don't have the pivot in hand And we have a deeper dig to actually find our path. I think it's better to go this way around. We do get a shady deal for path, which I'm definitely going to try and take advantage of here. Do I want to scoop up net, or do I want the option to double deal next turn? Yeah, I think double deal and net is probably my play next turn. And we're going to keep things simple. We're going to put damage on Alchemy and Shadow Rider. These will be the prizes we try and take. We go Alchemy because that's more likely going to be attacking us next turn. And it has less hit points. 2 good reasons. So they're going to Fog Crystal. I wonder if they play Pumpkin. They do. They play Pumpkin Pit, which is a little 60 hit point Pokemon, which could change our map to these 2 chaps. We'll see how that develops. They are just going to Marnie us now, so they're still looking for switch outs. We get a pretty nice hand off of that. They can incense just to burn before they start using some doors, I imagine. Door number 1. What's behind it? Let's see. Do they actually have the switch out? Shadow Rider is known for playing a much higher air balloon than switch count. They do have a switch. Do they have the last psychic to get over the line with the whisk here? They're at 300. Yep, there's the door, so they can take a KO this turn. I think they also have a turn attachment if they want it. It's relevant for, like, using Adornment next turn, something like that. Yep. I imagine those energies are coming straight back off with a whisk, though. But we have a very simple priority next turn. It's just Marnie, go into VMAX, try and redevelop a path. Pretty straightforward. If they just commit to an Adornment, it's kind of yucky. So we'll go straight into our Draga. We don't really want to rope. We are pretty committed to these 2 Pokemon being our threats. Let's Marnie him down. Oh, that's rough. We don't find any incense to actually path him, which is a huge shame here. I kind of like putting this Draga down, though, because I probably have to retreat even if he just Adornments next turn. He can do 6, 12, 18, 24. He can't KO me next turn. So he may just, like, do some doors and like Adornment and set up a ridiculous amount, and then I want this Draga in play, right? Or I guess I'd just be retreating into one of these anyway. So I guess I actually don't. So I should probably just quick ball it away and grab another Sob. And we'll just shred. Pretty rough break that we're allowing him to draw a bunch more cards again. At the same merit, they haven't used any stadiums just yet. So it's not like it would have, yeah, it wouldn't even have made a huge difference here. I mentioned stadium now because they've discarded a bunch of energy, so they probably want to use the training court this turn. At the same merit, we can try and use training court next turn, which would be nice. I wouldn't be surprised to see just an Adornment here. They could still go digging with supporters. There's a turn attachment for them. I'm actually going to Sonia. Got to imagine it's for energy cards. But then again, they may want the energy in the deck for Adornment. They may just take Pokemon out just to thin. No, it's going to be an energy to hand, and it is still Adornment. So 3, 4, 5. They have 6 in hand, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How many more Psychics are in the deck, even? 12, 13, 14. So there's your answer. So I'm going to Shady Deal, and I'm going to grab an Incense so I can double deal here. And I think Boss Net is probably my best combo, and then I can deal again here for Path as my best route. Let's think about this. Boss Net Path and actually swing with Max Phantom. Or do I try and make him have the boss in hand and just rope instead? We're always doing this. We're always grabbing the deal. We're going to do the grubby deal. We're always grabbing net for an additional grubby deal. And for a deal next turn. So rope lets him go here. And he can go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, to 10, to 40, to... I don't think there's enough energy to KO me with the Shadow Rider if he promotes that. So I think I'm doing this. We have no more Marnies remaining, which is a bit of a shame. But it keeps boss open for me for a later turn. I just do that. And it's like the safest play to do a rope, but I think the damage play is probably still my best route. Because I don't think I'm winning a long game, even if I'm just stalling like this. Because I'm still just letting him draw too many cards. So let's do this. Let's grab our Path. Obviously, we're vulnerable here. We know they have energy in hand. That they can just attach to the Alcremie. So it's basically just switch out is all they need to beat us. So we're quite far behind here. Obviously, their start was solid, and they got to go first, so it makes it look like a really bad matchup. But in fairness, we are just trying to duck and dive with Stadium Marnie. So sometimes it just be like that. And we did have a big whiff the previous turn where we didn't hit an Incense to lock in a path. So they can attach 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. They're paying retreat just to hit us with this guy. Okay. Well, that's good news. Can I win this turn? This gets me this for a free prize KO here. I have no boss though, so I can't bring back up the Alchemy. I can 3, 6, 9, 12. If I rope here, I guess he could just evolve attach. So we're going to quick shoot. And we're going to Zig ping this for sure. Take our 3 cards. And then decide from there. That gives us another Drizzile. Fan not important here. All Drizzile can get me is another Path to hand. I guess I'll take the additional switch out to hand. Thinking about it now. I guess I should take the research, because I want to dig for quick shooting. Or I could try and power up another Draga. A healthier Draga. Potentially a 2-prize Draga. All right, let's do this. This is all a bit hopeful and ducking and diving, but we have played both of our bosses out in our defensive plays, so it means I can't simply ping boss next turn, unfortunately. Quick ball for no target. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 energy accounted for. Only 1 court accounted for though. That's the scariest thing. So they're just going to Shadow Mist for the 10. So we are just gonna quick shooting, I guess. It doesn't change where I'm doing this, right? I think it always has to be here. So it looks like we're both kind of like on the draw for outs. So they need attachment boss to win here. Oh no, they don't. They have exactly enough. 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. Yep. They're able to get us with the boss. Alright, a fairly close game in the end. After a very, very strong start from them. Let's get one more game in with Draga. Like I said, your win condition is pretty much wrapped within the Path Marnie plays. And in this case, it just wasn't strong enough. And I don't think it was like us only having 3 that was a problem. I guess you could say we lose like a 5% chance to start it in our opening hand and then stop his early Crobat and stuff. But I don't think it's like that big of a deal. For the fan gaining us so much percentage in so many other matchups. Our opponent is going to go first again. We once again are sat with an energyless hand, but a decent Marnie option. Looks like we might be up against a Sylveon. More Sobbles, you'll love to see that. Okay, yeah, I'm going to capture out a Remoraid and just pass. Okay. Let's grab the Sobs. Tool Jam are not huge in this matchup because they normally just play Tower for their freedom of retreat, so I think I should just toss it before a Marnie here. Do hit some energies. I'm kind of worried about Fan of Waves because they have the option to Octillery out, so I'll go Psychic Energy first. So we'll just bite. They do grab their Sylveon. They have a Ribbon Badge. Ribbon Badge only activates with damage, by the way. Which means damage counters and Intel pings gets around it, right? Which is pretty spicy. Our hand is hot garbage from their Marnie. That is the Marnie life that we're living in. They can grab Octillery for Rapid Strike Search for an energy, but they don't need energy, so they can actually Strike Search for basically anything else here. They're going to toss their Urshi, they're going to grab Zeraora. They're just going to grab a Rapid Strike Energy. They could have actually got a Rapid Strike Energy, quick pulled it away, just to power up the Zeraora straight away. So I think they made a mistake there. They got rid of an Urshi when they could have got rid of a Rapid Strike Energy and got the acceleration. Regardless, they hit us for 130. No energy to disperse. Fog Crystal is not a helpful card. I mean, it is, but it isn't, right? It's this, and we can Jet Assault for the 60. And I guess I'm swinging a Horror Psychic on now because I don't care about Fan. I mean, I could Rope Pass and hope his hand is bad, but we know he has this for Karina's Focus, right? They're going to Incense. The good news is Raihan's going to get us back into good shape here. I don't think all is lost just yet. They're going to grab the next Blaze Boy. So they're actually just going to hit us for 130 again. Oh no, they have the search for the Karina. Okay. They're looking for discard synergies so they can actually accelerate energies. Or do it the old-fashioned way and just attach. That works too, I guess. Alright. So we are whittling away at the Blaze at least. Ah, the VMAX is a good draw. So let's attach the Psychic to Draga. I think the best card I can just take is Drizzile and try and chain some Drizziles. Get ourselves up into this high damage output echelon. What do we think about Aggro Fan? I'm kind of afraid of his turn, next turn. If he just retreats and hits me with Cross Fist, right? He takes one more prize off the board, puts a good amount of damage onto this. If I Fan, he just hits me for 130 again. But it's just too greedy with my hand, right? It's just too greedy. I think a Research is probably better than a Marnie here. But their hand is going to be huge. But I need so much. I'm just going to grab this, I think. Let's Phantom. I'm sprinkling onto Zero Aura, I'm pretty sure, every time here. They can grab the Rapid Strike energy. So Aura's going to be coming in for the big Cross Fist. So his path is Cross Fist for the one prize, set this up. But he's still a couple energies away from the Sylveon. If he has a Gusting play, that makes life way scarier. If he 170s this, that is really bananas. Yep. Oh, not 170, it's 190. Which is pretty bust. It's like perfect math or something. So again, we're playing Hideout, I guess. Huh. You know that card that we tutored being Research? Now that they've had the optimal turn, the Marnie's better, right? Because we're trying to dodge exactly boss. I didn't think their turn was going to be quite as good. I was more expecting the 100 active, but I guess I should have seen the spread play coming. So I think I always need to attach this Draga. So I think I just have to level ball for the chap. And hope my top decks are good. So I'm going to thin the Zigzagoon. Put ourselves fully in top deck mode. And just pass. I guess at this point he can just retreat, hit me for the 130, re-establish the energy here. And I just don't have enough damage output to stop the Zero Aura killing me. Because my max is 140, so I think we're just done here, actually. All he has to do is just pay retreat and blaze back onto the Zero Aura. Or free retreat, now that he has Tower, yeah. I think we're just done here. Can research away some extra energies. Yeah, looking pretty comprehensive at this point. Not the least that we're in top deck mode. Free retreater. Well, that is one of the better top decks we could have possibly found. But he's done a very good job at trying to not lose to anything. All of these are free retreat because of the stadium. So that is going to be GG. Alright, so a couple good results with Draga, a couple of dicier ones. So we felt like on top of the world going first. Things got very shaky when we were going second in that instance. I know Henry did play Suspicious Food Tin, and I don't know if he was predicting Zero Aura Blaziken to be an archetype. But that would certainly help in that instance there. I think we just had some slightly rougher hands in those instances, in those second games. Obviously, Shadow Rider's not like the easiest matchup anyway. We're just trying to crumb them, and it sort of didn't happen. And the Sylveon, I mean, the Zero Aura, just the 190 snipe is just such good math for them. We weren't able to get any Inteleons out to really start threatening them back. So yeah, bit of an awkward one overall. We got managed into like a really, really bad hand, let's be fair. And that is kind of the format. So let me know your thoughts on Drag Intel. If you like the list, if you prefer the fourth path and the Suspicious Food Tin, if you're expecting more Sylveon builds, because they've actually done really well recently, right? So maybe we have to respect the Blaze Aura approach that little bit more and go back to the tinny. I'll hear it all down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.